Over the past few years, my husband Ben has been learning to cook. He was raised by journalists in New York City, so he's what you might call Manhattan feral. He grew up learning many things I never learned, like slam poetry and a nuanced perspective on drug use. But there were also some missing pieces, like how to turn on an oven or how to make an egg. He's made great strides in the cooking arena and actually does most of our cooking these days. And his preferred way to commit a new kitchen skill to memory is to make a video of me demonstrating that skill so he can watch it if he forgets. Here's what this looks like. One of our standard meals of the moment is some salmon roasted on a sheet pan with some vegetables, which means Ben has a 4-minute video of me turning on the oven, putting some foil on a sheet pan, silently scrolling New York Times Cooking to confirm the temperature, and so on. At this point, he has a number of these videos. He's got the salmon one, he's got salmon part 2, where the salmon comes out of the oven and I use a thermometer to test the temperature and then put it back in for a few more minutes. He has one of me using the rice cooker and one of me washing a potato. He has also expanded out of the kitchen into laundry and has a video of me demonstrating the settings that I like to use to wash and dry our cloth napkins and dish towels. Sometimes when he's making dinner, I'll hear my own voice from the other room saying, "You don't have to rinse the rice for food safety purposes. It's just so the rice doesn't stick together." These videos come together like a bizarre video art installation, like the less creative version of something I saw one time in a modern art museum where a lady was just smashing all the bowls in her kitchen. But I also get a perverse thrill when I think about Ben watching these videos after I die. I've never seen Ted Lasso, but my mental picture has the same tone. Ben is at his job. Now, he currently works from home, but after I die, he works in an office. And he's popular at work, if a little quiet. And the guys he works with often ask him to go out for a drink when they're done for the day. He always declines. And one day they ask, "Hey, man, why don't you ever hang out with us?" And Ben says, "Well, I have to have dinner with my wife." And then we smash cut to him, alone in our dark living room, eating a bowl of rice and watching a video of me saying, "I think the temperature for chicken thighs is 425, but you should just look it up. It sort of depends on what you're roasting it with." Now, if I were to die an untimely death, I would not actually like for Ben to watch videos of me doing chores for the rest of his life. I would want for him to take the time he needs to grieve and then have a nice new relationship and a lot of fun. I tell him this a lot. Sometimes I'll even ask him which of our single friends he thinks would be a good partner if I happen to die. He does not really like this conversation. He'll entertain it for a question or two before making it clear that thinking about my untimely death makes him sort of sad. And I think if I died, Ben would certainly be sad. I also think he would realize he doesn't know where we keep the majority of the things in our house. Sometimes when he unloads the dishwasher, he'll do a little trick where if he doesn't know where something goes, he'll just put it in the dish drainer like it needs to dry a little more. But Ben, I see you. I see the tofu press. I see the little colander and the chopsticks and the lemon squeezer all in the dish drainer like they're all a little too damp to put away when the popcorn bowl was somehow perfectly dry. And if I die, you're gonna need to know where that shit goes. But, and this is something I like to remind Ben too, if I die, there will also be some upsides. For example, no one will pick up your headphones wherever they are and put them in a drawer, but a different drawer every time, so you feel like you're living with a mischievous elf who makes your daily life a scavenger hunt. And no one will come in the front door sometimes and before even saying hello, start sniffing around the house like a bloodhound saying something smells what smells. And if I die, nobody will wake you up in the middle of the night some nights because I'm loudly shaking my pillow, just violently rattling it to get the lumps out, causing you to break out of REM and groggily say, "Hello?" And I think losing those things from your life would actually be big improvements. And I want you to know it would be okay to be happy about that. Now, to be clear, thinking about dying also makes me sad. I love to be alive. I love it so much, sometimes we'll be walking around our neighborhood and we'll pass this telephone pole where a lot of pigeons congregate and poop in one spot, and I'll think, how fun to be alive and get to see so much poop in one place. But I don't think it's bad to be prepared. I think it's really nice to tell people what you would like them to do after you die. In my opinion, it's even a little inconsiderate not to. My grandmother did not give instructions for what she wanted done with her body. So when she died, I ended up in a room in a hospice center in North Carolina asking a very nice social worker, what's cheapest? Speaking of a cheap burial, my dad always says he'd like to be buried in a hefty garbage bag one day, which matches his personality well because he loves to save money and also create a logistical problem. Sometimes I like to think, well, what's my hefty bag? What's a way I could be buried that might make people go, wow, that's so Madeline? And I don't really know. I know I want to be cremated because it seems upsetting to decompose, but I don't really have strong opinions about where I'd want my ashes to go. I said this to Ben recently. I said, I don't think I really care where my ashes would go if I died. That would be up to you and whatever would give you the most closure. He said, honestly, if you died soon, I'd try to get you into Forest Lawn Cemetery. And I said, no, don't do that. I don't want to go there. It's too expensive and I don't like the vibe. So I guess I've offered the worst combination. No clear instructions, but a very strong opinion about what not to do. And even though I like to talk about my future death, I haven't been preparing for this reality in any way. Earlier this year, I let a small life insurance policy I've been paying $3 a month for 15 years lapse because their auto payment policy changed and there wasn't an easy phone number to call to figure it all out. When I told Ben, I said, it's fine though. And he said, for who? You won't be around if I ever need to use this. Now, Ben is open to the idea of his consciousness being uploaded into some kind of robot body so he can live forever. I don't want to participate in this. I like knowing that things have an end. My favorite part of a party is when I think I'm leaving and I start to say goodbye to people. Somehow knowing I'm headed out the door eliminates my anxiety about making good conversation and unlocks this relaxed and chatty version of me. And all of a sudden I need to tell someone a pretty long story about the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show while Ben waits by the door because I said let's go 45 minutes ago. This is another thing that will be nice after I die. Ben can enter a relationship with one of our friends who has a better respect for time and words and their literal meaning. I've long had a fantasy of hosting a party where the theme is goodbye. I'm still working out the details. But I would make it clear that the entire time at this party, everyone has to pretend like they're leaving. Everyone has to have their Uber app open, and every conversation has to begin with the words, I'm headed out, but I just think this might be really fun. I think people might have really unexpected conversations and might cut to the chase or might say something honest, but too embarrassing to say if you know you'll have to hang in and just keep being around for another hour. I think this may be what I'm doing when I bring up out of the blue sort of often that I'm going to die one day. I need to announce that I'm leaving, to open myself up and remind myself that time is limited and I can operate with a little more freedom. I need to say I'm headed out the door so the good part of the party can start, the one where I show up a little more authentically, a little more like myself. Or I'm just kind of rude and talking about my death as a long-winded way of telling my husband to figure out where the tofu press goes. Either way, it goes in the Lazy Susan next to the salad spinner, and I'm sure when I die, your next partner will be nicer. Thank you.